Well, it happened. I gave my players too many pets. How do I temporarily take them away without it feeling cheap? They're about to enter a huge dungeon where the big bad evil guy lives. I want to strip them of the beloved creature companions they've amassed, some of which are an owlbear, a hellhound, a jaguar, a nightmare, and a triceratops. I want to do this to make my life easier, of course, but also to provide more of a challenge. Most importantly, this is one of the big bad evil guy's tactics to wear down the PC's morale. The bad guy is a cruel and powerful magic being who wants to tick the PCs off and make them feel alone and disheartened and angry. Some of these critters reside in a special magic item, basically a Pokeball, so an anti-magic effect could render it inoperable, but there are still 4 others. What have you done? Unfortunately, you have created for yourself a bit of a minefield. First off, you're calling them pets, so that means they have names and a bond to your players. So at 99 out of 100 tables, no harm at all should befall these creatures. If you're running the grittiest, grimdark game of all time, where life is cheap and tragedy is expected, then maybe. But if not, I wouldn't even think of harming these things, no matter how cruel your bad guy is. Since they are participating in combat, they are combatants and therefore fair game for the bad guys to target, but still. But I also agree that something needs to change. I once ran for a druid who would often cast Conjure Woodland Beings, and that was enough to turn combat into a slog. I don't even want to think about running combat with a half dozen independent creatures. And someone in the comments brought up a very good point. If you come up with an in-game way to separate them, your players are just going to spend the whole session trying to get them back. So what I would do is go to them and say, hey, these creatures are really slowing down combat and making balancing encounters really difficult. Something needs to change. You mentioned Pokemon, and I think you could run with that example. In the games, when you have too many Pokemon, they get sent off to Professor Oak's lab where they can frolic around in what is essentially a Pokemon nature reserve. You could work out something similar with your players' monstrous pets. That way the beasties are still alive, your players can visit them, and they aren't clogging up your combats. Another idea I had, which I don't like quite as much, is for them all to get hit with a shrink ray. That way they're still around, your players can still interact with them, but they are no longer combatants. You know, kind of like Spy Kids 2.